Hello and grüß Gott. This is part 4 of our turbo installation video. Where we left off last was we installed these studs. These are M10-1.25 studs using our private brand's stud installation tool. And I'll actually give you the part number of that stud installation kit here in a minute, because we're going to have to install some M8-1.25 studs on the turbo itself. We've put the gasket in place. So in this video, we're going to be dry fitting all the parts and then starting to put everything mechanically together. So this will be the last part of the mechanical install. So I'm going to show you the turbo here in a second and we'll be right back. Okay, so here's the turbo that came with the kit. It's a T4 Garrett and it's air cooled, doesn't have liquid cooling. So we're going to have a oil outlet, an oil inlet, and then this must be like a vacuum fitting. So the stud installation tool is private brand's part number 71120, and this has both stud installers and removers. These are all the installation ones. So I'll be installing some studs here on this side using the M8-1.25. So we're going to get this kind of dry fitted on there. We're not going to tighten anything down. We're going to get these studs installed and then we'll come back and see what we're going to do next. Okay, at this point we've done our preliminary dry fit. We have this stuff kind of stuck in here temporarily. I've already bent a bracket here. That's for this cable so that it won't be touching the exhaust over here. We have the exhaust actually installed and snugged up, and we'll show you underneath how we did the cat. A couple of issues with the cat. The gaskets didn't want to stay on to the side that goes to this down tube, because there's no lip on it. So we ended up actually taking some of the Toyota stuff you stuck the oil pan on with and put a couple of drops, stuck it on there and let it hold for a little while, and then we got underneath and put it all together. So I'll show you that here in a second. Right now we're looking underneath the truck and you can see the MagnaFlow cat that we put in. And we did have to make some adjustments to the exhaust system to move it forward a little bit by about 1 inch. And so we did all that and everything's tightened up now, as far as it's snugged up. And the only thing we have to do now is make a bracket where the downpipe comes, and it should attach to the engine. The original one did, and that's to keep you from stressing the exhaust manifold. And so nothing came with the kit, so we're gonna actually have to go try to figure out how to custom make a bracket for it. So we'll be doing that and then we'll be right back. It's been a couple of days since we finished shooting the last portion of the video, and we've been working on quite a few ideas here and had to order a lot of parts, and some parts are here and some aren't. For one thing, down here on this part, we had to order a 45-degree connector here so that the oil return line, the way we had it welded on, it comes up at an angle and around, so the oil will always be flowing down. There won't be any deadheading of it or anything. So we sort of re-engineered it so that it fits right here. And the only thing I'm concerned about is it will be rubbing against this hose. So we're gonna have to put some kind of thing in between here to keep it from abrading. All this is finished. We're ready to put oil in the engine now. We don't have any intake yet because we're still trying to figure out what to do with the hose. I don't like the way KO Racing has done it, where they cut this back and move the hose. I'm gonna look for a different solution and I just haven't found it yet. So my preference is to find a hose from another vehicle that actually comes up here and then goes over. You know, it just depends on what we can find. So we're gonna go look for that before we end up chopping this down and moving it over. And the reason for that being is it's gonna end up putting stress on this line with this bend here. It'd be better off to have a hose come up and over. So we're gonna look into that. All this stuff here is mechanically just sort of set into place. We just now check the clearances, but we're gonna have to make sure there's no shorting of the spark plug wires and lots of other issues that could be potential problems. And we're waiting again on quite a few parts. We ended up replacing a lot of rotten hoses. We had to order those from Toyota, very expensive. Got most of those in and ready to go. And we'll talk more about that as we get further on the video. And so right now I'm going to show you underneath where we put the catalytic converter on and how that ended up connecting. And I have not yet designed an exhaust bracket. I have some parts coming to work on that, but they're not here yet, so I want to take my time and come up with an engineered design. So we're going to show you underneath the truck next and show you the catalytic converter. So we've got the catalytic converter in, and we now have the oxygen sensor attached. We had to go get some bolts for that, and we used stainless steel bolts and we used anti-seize compound. And we also put in the oxygen sensor, the auxiliary one that we have, and we had to move all the exhaust back slightly. So we think we have mechanically the majority of this job done. So we'll be putting on the skid plate and finishing up underneath, except for the exhaust bracket, which I haven't designed yet. And then we'll continue working with the vacuum and things like that, the hoses, the routing, all that. And we will also, we're installing gauges inside the truck, so we're going to be showing you all that on a later segment. So until that later segment, tschüss.